This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City look to get back in the win column as they play CF Montreal. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
There we are. How you doing? That's Chris Sakonis behind us as well. He's part of our broadcast team as we prepare for our live commentary coming up beginning at 7:15 pregame show with Nick Cushing, the head coach for New York City FC. And Matty, welcome, and a lot to talk about as always.
Yep.
There's always something to fill up the pregame live airwaves. I think we should first start, before we get into the game and the importance of 3 points for New York City, considering their status, their dominance over Montreal, but the longest standing player in New York City history, within their current team, only one player, Sean Johnson, had played more games. Maxime Chanot, 199 games, all competitions for New York City. And he, according to the team, at his request, has made his way back to his homeland, the island of Corsica, and a Ligue 2 team, Ajaccio. Is that pronounced right?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not overly familiar with League 2 in France, I must admit.
I wasn't either, but I did go online to see exactly where Chanot was. Here, check this out. So this is the tweet I put out. So this the picture on the left is just the water, and on the right it kind of gives you an idea. The Ajaccio is right on that little edge there on the water. So he's going to a nice place to, I suppose, play his final days as a professional.
Yeah, you would certainly assume they will be his last few seasons. What is he, 34 years of age, I think.
Yep.
So he can
34.
easily have another 3 or 4 seasons left. Certainly the way he plays, the manner with which he looks after himself, the fact that I don't remember any serious injuries him having while he's here, and by that I mean ACL injuries or leg breaks or snapping a medial ligament in his knee.
The worst injury was the friendly fire from
his own player, right?
International teammate in Luxembourg, which had the initial thought from doctors that he was going to be blind in one eye the remainder of his days, and he after a couple of weeks he got his vision back. He was told he's got to wear goggles the rest of his career, but at one point he just stopped wearing them.
We saw when he was playing with the head guard, the eyewear, however we want to describe it, he was struggling, wasn't he? He was struggling to concentrate on the game.
Yeah,
he was always manoeuvring, manipulating the glasses, the goggles, the headwear.
Exactly.
So, I think it makes sense for him, certainly football-wise. I'm not sure about health-wise, but football-wise, he was better off without them. And, yes, look, that had the makings of a serious injury, but it only kept him out for a little while. So, the 7 seasons he was here, he's been very lucky in terms of that. And a lot of that is down to his own pre-game preparation, his own rehabilitation, his own looking after his body. He looks still absolutely physically fit. I think you said, and I agreed with you, that 2 or 3 months ago he's looked the fittest and the sharpest he's ever been at NYCFC.
He was running down players.
Absolutely.
Things he
so it wasn't
done.
Just the fitness, was it? It was almost speed. It was everything. But look, he's a big loss. I think we knew that NYCFC were desperate to get in a left-sided centre-half. I think we knew that Thiago Martins, obviously as a DP being paid $2 million a year, was the first choice right-sided centre-half. So he was always, not going to be languishing, but he was always going to be playing second fiddle to those guys. I think it makes sense for him to move on in terms of his own playing career. It doesn't make sense for NYCFC, how they are right now, where they are, to let an experienced player and a man leave this dressing room. Nick Cushing said to us that at times there haven't been enough men in the dressing room.
Right. Well, here, let's listen to what Nick had to say about the departure of Chanot, because the timing for the club is
Could
not
be worse.
And again, there's a question, depth at central defense. But here's what Nick said.
I've been here since 2020, and the four seasons that I've been here have been the most successful period of the football club, and Maxime's played a huge part in that. Whether it be, when I was the assistant coach and Maxime was part of a back four that went on and won the MLS Cup, or last year getting to the conference final of Maxime in the center of a back three with me as the interim head coach. And while I've been head coach here this year, he's been the captain of the club. He's led the club in a difficult period and showed some real class and some real leadership around those difficult moments. And I've mentioned before about having certain leaders within the dressing room, and he for sure was one of those. But I think sometimes in football, personal situation and personal reasons have to be taken into account. Maxime's a really important football player for New York City, but at the same time is a really important person and is a human. And, when guys come with, family reasons, I think it's important that we hear them out. And Maxime had a conversation with the football club, and where we are is he's going to return home. Maxime had his desires and his reasons to return home. The timing, of course, isn't great from what we're trying to achieve as a football club. And we feel that we have the depth to cover the situation. That's why I imagine, we know the football club had, listened to Maxime's reasons. And, with the addition of Bert Rieser, we played Tavon Gray in at central defender. Justin Hacker's played down there when we've played as a back three. That we feel we have the cover to, put us in a place where we can listen to Maxime and allow him to return for his family reasons.
So the head coach making it clear that it was Chanot's request, that it was family reasons. He's going back home, essentially where he grew up, apparently. And I wasn't aware that he grew up in such a nice place, but you did see Nick, hesitating at times.
Yes.
During the period of for the team, it's difficult because, to lose a leader and a guy that you can really count on and rely on as you're trying to win a majority of your games down the stretch here to give you any hope at a playoff berth, it is a difficult time.
That felt like a very, very difficult question for Nick to be answering, and it felt very difficult for him to be talking about Maxime Chanot. It made me think that he wanted Maxime still to be here. I do understand family reasons, and you have to credit the football club and the powers that be, whether that's the president, whether it's Brad Sims, whether it's David Lee, whether it's Nick Cushing, whoever it may be that is allowing, a human being to leave the football club at a time you would not want them to be leaving. And let's be honest, look, there's only 6 weeks left of the season. The way things are going right now, 6.5, 7 weeks possibly left of the season. So it's not that long to keep somebody, maybe not quite against their wishes, but certainly he wanted to go home, but, it's not that long. So whatever went on, whatever the personal reasons are, I have to credit NYCFC with allowing a human being to do what they want to do, so to speak. But from a sporting perspective, you are not letting Maxime Chanot leave this football club. There's no two ways about it. You're not letting a leader, a captain, as Nick Cushing said, and one of your best centre-halves leave the football club at a time when you need all hands on deck.
So it went from starter to reserve to not traveling to Cincinnati. So Bert Rieser, the transfer from Norway, and Molde, he will start his third consecutive game at left central defense there. If you are watching this, you can see the starting 11 scrolling, and there are some choices in there that might be of a surprise. The goalkeeping situation, it's been a little back and forth, and Matt Freese will be back in goal in place of Luis Barraza in the third game in the return from the break from Leagues Cup. So what do you think of that choice?
I don't think either goalkeeper has earned the right to wear the number 1 shirt.
Which is what Nick has basically been saying, they're still competing.
Which to me is detrimental to the two people who are trying to fight for that number 1 spot. If we're 30-odd games into the season in all competitions, and you have no idea as a head coach or me as just an analyst looking on, somebody who likes to think they know the game.
Right.
I have no idea who's the best goalkeeper. I think Luis Barraza is at times the better goalkeeper with his feet and maybe shot stopping. Matt Freese is not as good as with his feet, but maybe more commanding. I don't overly know. Look, I'm not a specialist in goalkeeping, but what I do know is that neither of the two goalkeepers has covered themselves in glory. So, yes, it's very, very hard when you haven't got somebody, a standout. If there was a Sean Johnson there, Sean Johnson would have played the last 30 games.
Coming off a 3-0 defeat at FC Cincinnati is New York City, and then the 2-0 defeat to Minnesota, which was at Citi Field. Again, that was the restart to MLS. So the situation is 11 times in all competitions, Matty, that the New York City has been blanked, shut out, and including the last two matches. I asked Nick Cushing about Monsef Bakrar. What will it take to unleash him? And the first thing he said was he was frustrated from the other night. Only one shot on goal against as you described it during the commentary, just a very solid back three.
Yeah, it's something that needs to change. It was 195 minutes without a goal in the 3 games before that FC Cincinnati. So you add another 90 minutes, so it's now 285. And also, adding insult to injury is the fact that you're incredibly porous at the other end. I think I've said it enough times, and hopefully I don't have to say it too many more times. When you're poor in both penalty areas, you're not going to win any games of football. That's just factual. If you can't score and you can't keep a clean sheet, that's the end of that. That's all you need to know. And that's what's happened too many times in 2023, in whatever competition it may be.
It looks like a 4-2-3-1. James Sands, I ran into him on the way into the stadium. So sometimes it's good to be held up before you can get into the ballpark. But Sands had a good chat with him. He said it's a hamstring. They got to be careful. But he said he'll be ready for the weekend, that it's that close. But he's out for tonight. But Santi Rodriguez is on the bench, so he's ready to go. But he will not be in the 11. Sands and Perea will be in the midfield. And you see Andres Jason and Richie. Who did I say?
Sands and
no, Parks and Perea. Thank you. And then it's Jason Morales and Ledesma. So Andres Jason and Richie Ledesma getting the starts with Bakrar up top.
Yeah, again, nobody has truly done enough to deserve a place in the starting lineup. That is for certain. Bakrar's only playing because he's the only number 9 at the moment with no Gabe Siegel. He's nowhere to be seen right now. For whatever reason that is, it is just Bakrar. He's the sole centre forward. Does he deserve to be playing there? Probably not. But Tyler Magno doesn't deserve to be playing there either. Even though he's not a true 9, he has been playing there. He hasn't done anything to prove that he should be playing there. So I feel sorry for Nick Cushing in a way. He's somebody who's got to try and find a starting 11 that works. He has a game plan to set out, and he has a bunch of players who predominantly can't fulfill his wishes of how to beat the opposition. Most of his game plans have been set out well. Against Minnesota, they played very well. They absolutely outplayed Minnesota and couldn't win. Look, it wasn't the same against FC Cincinnati, but there's still been many cases where NYCFC have been the better team and can't get it over the line, can't win, and that's a problem.
And the bottom line, just one win in their last 17 regular season matches. That victory was at CF Montreal. Matthias Pellegrini with his one and only goal as a member of New York City. And when you look at City against Montreal, New York City has lost only 2 of 18 all-time meetings. 11 wins, 5 draws. That includes the playoffs. New York City has won 4 of the last 5 with a draw, so unbeaten in those 5. And that includes the 3-1 win up there last year when Wilfred Nancy was coaching for Montreal, and that 3-1 win for New York City in the conference semifinals. Maxi Morales is scoring an emotional goal in the first half for New York City. He'll be in the 11 again tonight. 3rd consecutive start for Maxi.
Yeah, and I think you have to play Maxi Morales. He's a leader. He's a born winner. He certainly has the ability to unlock defenses. He doesn't have that golden touch in front of goal himself so much in terms of scoring goals, but he certainly can provide those assists. He obviously was part of the problem against FC Cincinnati. He was the player who gave the ball away in the 5th, 6th minute that led to FC Cincinnati's first. We hope that that doesn't happen this evening. But look, nobody is playing particularly well. That's why NYCFC are where they are, because the majority of the players aren't fulfilling their potential.
And it's another big night in MLS, a little Wednesday night action, including, and we have to start with Inter Miami playing host to Nashville, because they haven't lost since Messi, Busquets, and Alba arrived, and those three are expected in the starting 11. At least that's what Tata Martino intimated last night.
Yeah, I think lots of people, maybe not in the US, but predominantly around South America and around Europe, have been saying or alluding to the fact that the MLS must be a bad league. If Messi just turns up and all of a sudden he absolutely transforms the worst team into the best. Let's not just forget it's not just Messi. It's Farias has turned up. 3 guys from Barcelona have turned up.
Diego Gomez scored the goal to win the
Messi,
last
Busquets,
match.
and Alba, 3 of the greatest players that Barcelona have seen in the last 10 or 15 years. That's 30% of the outfield players. So it's not just one player coming in. We mustn't forget the quality they've brought in. As I say, I really like the boy Facundo Farias they've brought in from Colón as well, who's a really good player. So they've totally transformed this team. And, of course, they've brought in a good manager as well. He may be a fellow countryman, but I didn't think that Phil Neville was a particularly good manager. He may be a good coach, but he's not a good manager, as his stint at Inter Miami proved. Yeah. But now they've got Martino, knows how to win, and he's got 3 guys in from Barcelona who have won everything that matters in Europe, and they've brought in 2 or 3 good young players as well from around the world. So it's a slightly different Inter Miami team than the one that sat afoot of MLS no more than, 10, 12 weeks ago.
Absolutely wild. And again, New York City will be down there on September the 30th. And that's one of the reasons
Don't ask us for tickets.
Why a match like, if we had them, I guess we'd get in big trouble there. But anyway.
Don't say it.
But September the 30th, it's going to be a difficult match now for New York City. Yeah. It's not during the international break, so Messi will be there, But, what condition will he be in by then? That's something we'll approach a little bit later on. Hernan Losada is the first-year coach for Montreal, struggled at first. They're now also fighting for the playoff spot. New England, they beat 1-0 the other night. Yeah. That was at Stade Saputo, so it was a home match. 2 shots, none on target for New England, who have some fairly decent attacking options themselves. So that's pretty good when you consider you're looking at Corbo, Waterman, and Campbell starting in a back 3 tonight, as they did against Montreal. And one of the better keepers in the league, Jonathan Sirois. Yeah. So they don't concede much.
They've only given up 3 shots on target in the last 3 games. 2 of those 3, they didn't give up any shots on target. 2-0 home win against Charlotte, and the 1-0 win, as you said, against New England Revolution. The game before that, they were away at Toronto, obviously a clash of Canadian teams, so a kind of a local derby, if you will.
Sure.
And they only gave up 3 shots on target. There, 2 of those granted were goals, but that's it. 3 shots on target in 3 games. So they've proven that they are pretty solid, but then we can't forget that they're also incredibly inconsistent. Because in the 4...
Oh, my goodness. If they win tonight, this was I hadn't realized it, and I had to look through it. It would be twice that they had won 4 matches in a row this season. But on 3 occasions, they've lost 3 straight.
Yeah, well,
I've never seen anything like that.
I was just about to say, they've won the last 3, and in the previous 4 league games before that, they didn't score a goal in the 4. They lost 3 and they drew 1 of them. So, look, this is a roller coaster ride of a Montreal team, as in so many teams in MLS are, just wildly inconsistent. Which Montreal team will turn up?
And you mentioned Toronto a moment ago, and this is what
hopefully not in the capacity of being an actual football team.
This is what John Herdman's walking into, a little dispute with the interim coach, Lorenzo Insigne. Reportedly, and I would imagine there's multiple sources on this, just left his team and the interim coach during a training session, and we also understand that's not the first time he's done that. So that's that's what the new Toronto coach, John Herdman. I'm going to try to get a hold of him. I'm going to see if he'll come on and join us, man. We could have a good chat with him.
Well, the good thing is that John Herdman's not taking over till October the 1st, and he will be praying that the two Italian boys aren't there
by October 1st.
Come October the 1st, that's for certain. Or maybe you can hold on to one of them, but you certainly don't need both of them.
All right, Matty. So we're getting set. 7:15 is our air time for the pregame show with Nick Cushing, the head coach for New York City, presented by Ford. And then our live commentary, 7:39 tonight. Since it's a home match, if you're watching on Apple Television, you can use the drop-down feature and listen to our English hometown commentary. We hope you'll do that if you have the opportunity. Otherwise, enjoy the game, everybody. For Matty Lawrence, I'm Glenn Crooks. Chris Sakonis back there taking notes, and we'll talk to you again soon if you come on the NYCFC.com/radio. See ya.